Hello class, this is a video tutorial on the domain and range of functions. Before we get even into the domain and range, we need to understand what a function is. So a function in mathematics refers to a set of operations performed to a set of numbers, the domain, and maps them to a new set of numbers, the range. Okay, note, values from the domain must each only map onto a single value in the range, meaning, i.e., one input cannot have two output values. This will make a little more sense in the diagram below. The domain of a function is a set of values that give a valid output. The range of a function is a set of values that state all possible outputs of a function. Okay, that's a lot to take in, right? Three main points that we need to understand, but I hope you can understand when I draw this kind of diagram here. So, focusing on this first example, this is the idea of what a function is. So, we have the domain, all the input values here. So we input the number 4 into the function. What the function is stated above. Okay, so we're going to put in 4, right? And what this function tells us is we're going to multiply that number, whatever we put in, by 2 and then add 1. So for example, if we follow this line, 4, we put it into the function, we times it by 2, then add 1. So 4 times 2 plus 1, the output is now 9. Okay, and this same idea happens with 3. So the input is 3. 3 goes into the function. We apply it to what this function is. So it says multiply 3 by 2 plus 1. Okay, so 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7. And this logic continues. So the inputs, all the numbers that go in, are the domain, and the output, the numbers that come out, are the range. Okay, here's another example. Now, I hope you weren't confused when we said that a single input may only have a single output. By that we mean, let's look at this output of 5. There's a single output of 5. However, if we follow where it came from, there are 2 inputs for this function that give me 1 output. That is allowed. So one value in the range may be the result from multiple values in the domain. However, a single input, so for example, if we were to follow, let's say, the number -5, and we put it into here, -5 cannot result in 2 varying numbers. -5 must only go to a single output value. Okay, so domain are the inputs, right? And the range is the output. Okay, that's what a domain and range is. Now, we're going to look into some ideas of what a function and the tests that we can have. So we have what's known as the vertical line test. And what that means is if we take any functions, let's look at this linear function, f of x. So this is how you read that. F of x equals 3x plus 6 is this line shown here. If we draw a vertical line straight down anywhere, it should cut that function only at one point. Okay, if it cuts it only at a single point, this is a true function. It is a real function. However, here's an example of a circle, x squared plus y squared equals 4. If we do a vertical line test, as shown here, it cuts it at 2 points, one here and one there. Because this is the case, this is not a true function. This is not a function. That is the vertical line test. It is also known as the horizontal line test, But this doesn't test whether it is or isn't a function. This only tests whether a function has what's known as one-to-one mapping. Okay? One-to-one mapping means every value in the range of a function, right, is each the result of one value from the domain. Here are two comparisons here. We have a linear function again. If we do a horizontal line, as I've shown here. So this value, let's say it might be y equals, I don't know, let's say that's going to be 10. Okay, this value of y equals 10 is the result of only the one value of whatever this is here. So y equals 10 is the result of one number in the domain. So this has one-to-one mapping. However, as you can see here, this is a parabola. If we do a horizontal line test, let's say at this point here, let's say it is y equals 5. Okay, if you notice that there are two values that give me y equals 5. This domain, this value in the domain here, whatever this x value is, has given me y equals 5. But this point in the domain as well also give me y equals 5. So this is not one-to-one mapping. Right? Both of these, however, are still functions, because if we do the vertical line test, like if I cut it here, 1 point. If I cut it here, also 1 point, or anywhere along this function. Okay, so I hope you got an insight into what the domain and range is, as well as how to test for functions and whether or not functions have a one-to-one mapping. In summary, inputs are the domain, output is the range. All right, hope that gave you an insight into functions. Best of luck.